Alright, hey everybody. Today we're going to talk about the definition of a mineral. So the definition of a mineral is something as straightforward as just a one sentence definition like you might see with other words. A little more complex than that. And you can kind of think of it almost like a checklist. There are 5 different criteria on this checklist, and if a material can check off all the boxes for all 5, then we can define it as a mineral. Okay? So make sure your notes are out, and here we go, we're going to get right into it. The very first check on our checklist to define a material as a mineral is naturally occurring. Okay, this is pretty easy. It just means it has to occur out in nature. It can't be made somewhere in a laboratory like, we have fake diamonds nowadays and things like that. So it actually has to occur out in nature from some geologic process. The second check on our checklist is solid. And again, it sounds pretty easy. Yes, a mineral has to be a solid, but it has to remain a solid at a wide range of temperatures found on Earth's surface. So this means the hottest day in the middle of the desert, it has to be a solid, along with the coldest day, let's say in Antarctica. It has to remain a solid at a wide range of temperatures found on Earth's surface. Number 3 and 4 are actually dealing with chemistry. Okay, so trying not to get too much chemistry, but we just have to understand that a mineral has an orderly crystalline structure. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is that the way a mineral bonds on the inside happens in a very repeatable way. It's a pattern. Okay, and let's think of them as Lego pieces. Every small little mineral is like a Lego piece, the smallest building block. Okay, we've all played with Legos before. You all know what I'm talking about. Legos come in a variety of sizes. There's the little 2x1 little rectangles, or there's the bigger 6x2 longer rectangles. And you can kind of think of those as individual pieces of mineral. Okay, those building blocks, those small microscopic molecules. Okay? And because of their initial shape, they can stack together in a certain pattern, a certain order. Okay, and that's what we're talking about with an orderly crystalline structure. And we'll talk more about this in class, don't worry. The 4th criteria is a definite chemical composition. This just means that a mineral is named for a certain composition. Like my favorite mineral, is quartz. Okay, quartz is my favorite by far. I love quartz, and quartz is always made out of silica and oxygen. SiO2, 1 silica, 2 oxygens. That's its most basic building block. That's the smallest Lego piece for quartz. If there was a different chemical composition, if it had something else thrown in that equation, it would no longer be quartz. When you change the composition, you change the mineral name altogether. The 5th criteria would be simply inorganic. A mineral has never been alive, and it's never going to be alive. That would be kind of terrifying. Now that we've talked about our checklist, we can run an example through this checklist to see if it's actually a mineral or not. And think about this one, ice. Okay, think about ice for a moment. How would that stand up against our checklist? Is ice inorganic? Of course, ice is never alive. Does it have a definite chemical composition? For sure it does. Ice is always H2O every single time. Does it build an orderly structure, those Lego pieces connecting together? It definitely does. Okay, this is looking pretty good for ice. Is ice a solid? Yes, sir. Okay, and is ice occurring out there in nature? Can it be found all over the planet in nature? Yes, it does. Okay, so at first glance, you might be able to define ice as a mineral, but if you look at the fine print, if we look at the details, we're missing one small piece. A mineral has to remain a solid at a wide range of temperature found on Earth's surface. And since ice melts anything over 32 Fahrenheit, it is not technically a mineral. Okay, but it was close, right? I had you going. Hey, that's gonna wrap up our very first lesson about a mineral's definition. Okay, make sure you filled out your notes. Make sure you're doing all of the necessary reading and outlining and all the other work that you need to do to make sure you're on top of it. Okay, if you have any questions, make sure to ask.